Hey, I'm Ali from FX ORDERFLOW channel. I want to show you guys my trades on S&P 500 for today. Before I jump to technical analysis, I want to talk about fundamental a little bit. So we had some news for US and China deals that it's going to be done, but they need Xi's approval. So the tariff baseline is going to be 10%. And the fentanyl tariffs would be 20%. So this is obviously really good for S&P 500 because it's good for companies if they have less tariffs. And also we had CPI on my local time is 4 o'clock, and it came much lower than expected. This is also really good for S&P 500 because if the CPI is not going to be concerning and the tariffs are getting lower, it means that Fed can cut rates sooner, and cutting rates is good for companies and S&P 500. So let's jump to technical analysis. This is a 1 minute chart on futures market, and the numbers here are volumes for futures market. So the market open for NYSE was on this candle. We had a huge sell-off. I had a few 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas close together, which was really important for me. These lines areas, it's not a line. I mean, I draw it as a line, but it's actually like wider, like 3 pips higher, 3 pips lower, are based on volume. And I was expecting the market to reject from here. On hourly, this area is around somewhere close here on this rejection here. It's down here. So I was expecting the market to reject, and as you can see, the market actually reject. This is area. The market reject first, came up to this point. It was 28 pips of rejection. So let's see what happened. So I had in this place, sellers tried to push market low in this few candles, and the amount of sales here was really high. If I want to show you on my other chart, okay, this should be here. Yeah. So as you can see huge amount of sales here on the left side, and the market didn't go down. It means that the passive buyer was trying to absorb the sales by putting limit orders on this area. So I touched my first 2 areas here, and we also touched the green area here. I'm not going to explain about these areas, that how you look at them and what they means, because the video would be much longer than this, so maybe I make another video later. Like yeah, so we had absorption, and then we touched here another sell-off, but we couldn't go like much lower. The poke was point of control. The poke of the candle was here, and we closed above it. That's a good sign. Then a really good buyer came in. So I entered around here. I'll show you guys on CFD on my 85 later. So I entered around here, and then we had really huge amount of buys, but there was one tiny problem here. A passive seller was absorbing the buys. So there's a risk here. If you are really sure about your trade, like I was sure today, because the fundamental was really good for the S&P 500, I kept holding my position because there was really huge amount of orders, like buy limit, sell limit orders like this. They would keep planting them, filling them, and then keep planting them, filling them again, keep planting them, filling them. When you see that, it means that somebody, or it's not going to be just one person, are trying to fill their really massive orders in a certain area, and they were exactly doing that. And right after these buys here on these 3 candles, we had really huge buys. On these candles, we had so much sales. Look at the trade sizes here. on just one order, they had 500 lots of sell on this candle, and the candle didn't came down. So we had passive seller and passive buyer fighting together here. If I want to put my money here, I would put it on passive buyer and buy, because the fundamental is obviously on the buy side. But after a few minutes, market came down. My stop loss was around here, and I got stopped out with a really huge amount of buys. Sometimes when market is trying to planting their orders and filling them, there is a chance, there's like a 70% chance that you actually got your stop loss will gonna get hit. They hunted the stop losses down here, and then they push the market up. There's a 70% chance. It's up to you if you don't want to risk that and just wait for the stop losses to just get hunted and then get the trade. But there's a 30% chance that this doesn't happen, and if this doesn't happen, you will miss the trade. And since I was expecting a really high risk to reward ratio for this trade, I took the chances and I got to stop that. But right after we touched this three areas, it was my last areas here. I was expecting the market to go up from here. We had really huge amount of buys here, you can see. And also the point of control for this candle was way down on the bottom side of the candle. Also for this one, we closed above it. That's a good sign, and we had huge amount of buyers. So after I saw that, I entered another trade here on this candle. My stop loss was around here, so it was like I don't remember how much was it, but it was around 7 or 8 pips. It wasn't more than 9 pips, I'm pretty sure. I think it was 9 pips, yeah. So it would be like almost here, which is a good stop loss, 9 pips. It's not a lot. So I entered the trade on this candle, and then as you can see, the market came up. I didn't do any partial closes. I usually close 50% of my trade on 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, but I didn't because the fundamental was really good, and I was expecting the market to push to highs really good. As you can see, this is the delta line is increasing. It means that the buyers are much more aggressive than sellers. We have more buyers. So we got stuck here because we had a huge block here. It took a while to go up, and we pushed higher and higher. Everything was good until here. We had some absorptions here that was risky, but also we had sell absorptions here. So a passive buyer was actually on our side, and I was not worried about that. But on this candle, something happened. A news came out that, if I find it, yeah, it's here. China said that a fentanyl halt is not on the table. So it means that the approval is not going to be today. So they're going to have some problems on fentanyl. So that's not good. You know, Trump, he talks a lot. He might even add tariffs because they don't accept it. So this was bad. This was bad, and once I saw that, I closed 50% of my trade here and trade my stop loss right below that, around here. After we touched VWAP, this VWAP is based on volume, not movement. We had good buys here, but then the market just stuck on this blockage, and we kept selling. So once I saw that, I exited the trade, and if I would keep it, my break even would get hit. My stop loss, I moved to break even way before we reached there. So unfortunately, I couldn't make a huge profit out of that, but I recovered my loss and had a tiny profit left for me, which was not bad. But if this wouldn't happen, the market would go way higher, but we dropped really hard on S&P 500. We should wait and see that what happens with the deal tomorrow. And there was a huge sell-off on the world's largest tech firms that dragged the S&P 500 down, unfortunately. So yeah, we dropped way more down. If I would just see the news a little bit sooner, we could Honestly, we could enter a sell here because of that news. I didn't take the sell here. You could actually take a sell here on this retest because we had some bad news. But I didn't take it because I only take the trades that are on volume areas. There are certain areas for me on this chart. You can see them. These are not indicators. There was nothing there. This is for today. It's not going to be valid. It's going to be valid for tomorrow. So we had nothing there. We had nothing there, and when we don't have anything on an area, I don't take the trade. It was not there. It was up here. I don't take a trade that on a place on a chart that there's no area. But if you want to scalp, yes, that can be done. Also, you can just take the trade here, but with much less risk. For example, if you risk 1% on a trade, you could risk around like 0.3% on this trade and hold it like more. If you would do it, the stop loss on this trade would be around 6 pips. You could do a 6 pip stop loss, and I think you could get a huge amount of risk reward ratio for this trade. 1 to almost 1 to 10, 1 to 9. So yeah, that would be a good trade if you would risk less, much less. I would prefer to not take any trades if there's no areas, but yeah, if you want to risk it, yes, you can take this trade with, as long as you decrease your risk. Yes, you can take this trade. And this is my trade on these trades, the two trades that I talked about on CFD on my 85. The first trade was here, and I got a stop out here. Then I entered again here. I closed 50% after that news, and I closed full here. That was a wise decision because we came down, came up, and then came down again. Yeah. Market actually dropped really hard after. So on first trade, I lost this much, and I take the second trade here and close. This is the first close for 50%. This is this full close. So overall, I closed my day with the $77 of profit. But yeah, it's much less than I usually make because my target was way more higher. I was expecting to get at least 50-60 pips, which is around the risk reward ratio would be 6. Around 6, somewhere around 6. So I would make much more, almost like 1,000 or maybe even more. If I might have like kept it more, like 100 pips, if the delta would be increasing, keep increasing. Yeah, I would keep it more. But yeah, this is my result. If you like the video, please like and subscribe.